We're talking about debt and credit cards. And with me right now is LendEDU Director of Communication, Michael Brown. We're talking all things money. You've got lots of text questions up here in the queue. So let's go this way. All right, this person says, how much safer is it to use a credit card with a chip instead of just swiping it?
Yeah, so I think the chips are generally safer than swiping your credit card. And these days, that's really the only option you have is to insert the chip. The chip is a lot newer technology that's been phased in probably over the last 7 to 8 years, I would say. And they've made a lot of advancements away from the swipe and just updated everything. So yeah, I would say it's generally safer than swiping. But I think either or are pretty safe to begin with. But if you feel more comfortable using the chip, then chip is great.
This person asked, I got a call today from a person who wanted to give me 0% interest on my credit cards. Is this a scam or not?
Yeah, so I would be super, super, super wary of that phone call. I think anytime you get a phone call from anyone offering financial products, I would stay away. I work in the business and I hear stories about people getting calls for student loan relief and 0% credit cards. And yeah, I would just stay away. If they're saying they're from a legitimate company, then I would get in contact with that company and see if the offer is actually true. But yeah, I would be super, super wary and really do due diligence before ever thinking about doing something like that.
But there are 0% credit cards. And if you have a very high APR, you can always call your credit card company that's on the back of your card. Make sure you use the right number, right? And you can ask them, hey, what can you do for me?
Yeah, definitely. And there's another great product that's called the balance transfer credit card. And a lot of times, like the study that I put out showed, a lot of people have credit card debt from both the pandemic and holiday shopping. And a good way to try to get out of that credit card debt is to transfer all of that debt onto a balance transfer credit card. So now you have a new credit card. And a lot of the times, the best balance transfer credit cards will have a 0% APR for probably the first 3 to 6 months. So you're not getting charged any interest, even though you've already had that debt. So it's a really good resource if you want to rapidly chip away credit card debt. And then it's something you should probably look into if you have credit card debt.
Okay, and if you do that balance transfer, just because you have 0 interest for those first 3 months, that doesn't mean you should not be paying.
No, correct. Yeah, the point of the balance transfer is that all of 100% of your payment can go towards the principal. It's not going towards interest payments. So it's a great way to chip away the debt because you don't have to worry about interest. But if you're not making your payments on the balance transfer credit card, it kind of eliminates the purpose of it to begin with. The purpose is to get aggressive with your payments so you can really knock off a lot of debt before the interest rate kicks in.
All right, so this person is asking, should you pay on the due date or before the due date? Does that do anything to your interest payment?
No, it doesn't do anything, and it really doesn't matter as long as you get it in on the due date. Myself, I have auto payments set up for all of my credit cards, and it's really easy to set up once you have it, and they take the payments out on the due date in the morning. So as long as it's on time by that due date, you're all right. It's not going to make any difference if you pay it before it or on it. The only difference is going to be if you pay after. That's when you're going to get penalized. Your credit score is going to get dinged, and it's going to open up a whole mess of problems.
Yeah, you don't get extra credit for paying it early. Okay. This person says, is there a more effective way to pay off a credit card? I have my payment on auto draft and I make a manual payment every month. Does it make a difference?
So is there another way to pay it down?
Mm-hmm.
So one thing you might want to consider is, what I just talked about, a balance transfer credit card. So transferring that balance to a new credit card where the interest rate hopefully is 0%. So now all of your payments can go towards the principal. None of it has to be used for interest. So that's one way to do it. There are a few other ways to do it where you can consolidate credit card debt. One of those being like a home equity loan. So if you're a homeowner and you have equity in your house, which means, you've been paying off your mortgage and your home property value is rising, you gain equity in your home, you can leverage that home equity to consolidate credit card debt and pay it off hopefully at a lower interest. So there are a few outside the box ways you can think about it, but the number one thing I would consider is a balance transfer credit card.
Mm-hmm. All right, this person says, can you explain the difference between a credit card and a debit card and why buying things on a credit card is more beneficial when it comes to fraud?
Gotcha. So debit cards are connected directly to your bank account and your personal, checking account or personal savings account. So every time you use a debit card, and then you check your bank account, you'll notice that your bank account has immediately been reduced by that amount of charge. Whereas a credit card, it's going through the credit card company. So it's not attached to every time you charge your credit card, you're not going to notice difference in your bank account. You're just going to notice difference in your credit card account balance. And then once you have to make that credit card payment, that's when it's going to come out of your bank account. But so to answer your question, it is safer to use a credit card because if someone gets access to your debit card, they can just start drawing money straight away from your bank account. Whereas with a credit card, the only money they're going to be drawing away from is the credit card company. None of that is your money. So yes, right. It would be safer.
And really quick, for those of you who are at home who say, well, I use my debit card as a credit card, doesn't make any difference. A debit card is a debit card is a debit card. It comes out of your account. You need a true credit card. All right. This person wants to know, I know we never really want debt, but is there a healthy amount of debt to have on a credit card?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's one that I've dealt with a lot of times working in the personal finance space. And the one thing I try to encourage people is to, not be afraid of debt. Debt, if it's handled in a responsible way, it can be a very effective tool. So let's say, you have a couple extra bills one month and your personal savings is looking a little low and you need that money to pay for groceries or pay for the mortgage. And then, paying for that extra bill or paying for that extra something with a credit card and taking on a little bit of debt so you can save the money that's in your personal savings account. That's that's super effective. That means that you can, pay for everything and then you just have to make those payments on the credit card later. So if handled responsibly, debt can be a very effective tool. And I say that all the times with student loan debt as well. And then in terms of, credit card debt, if you can keep your credit utilization ratio under 10%, so using only 10% of what your total credit available is, then you're doing a great job. That's a super responsible way to handle it. And you're going to see the benefits.
Great. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you taking all those text messages and answering those questions.